governor say the same thing y'all been saying. We got too many studies in the state of Maryland. Maryland has some of the top performing schools from the high school all the way up to college. We got John Hopkins in the state. We already have studies on slavery. We don't need it. He said we don't need a study. We need work. Send me some legislation that's work. So so my problem is everybody online is saying the governor vetoed this bill for reparations. No, he vetoed what would have been a 5 or 10-year hang up or prevention of reparations. Won't they go back and get him a reparations bill about the work and what the terms of the reparations in Maryland? So Marylanders, Black Marylanders that are old reparations can get it. Won't they send him that? Won't they send him that? Because that's what my problem is. Like this idea that reparations starts with studies, even though studies exist. John Hopkins has studies, schools has, Morgan State has studies. The state has access to tons of studies from tons of universities, and also Darity and other people, Ajwa Ayatora, all of these people who I sat at the foot of, because Ajwa Ayatora is one of the leading voices she's one of the leading lawyers. She was the special counsel, the head special counsel for COBRA. That was a lawyer firm for reparations. She was that back in the 90s. So it's like we're talking about pioneers of this work. I sat at her feet. So when you have people that are already talking about it, and then you know what else I noticed? In this work, the real work for reparations, I don't see the FBAs. I don't see these guys. I don't see the Freemans at these conferences. I don't see them talking on panels. So this idea for reparation never sings. And I read every book they offered to me. After the election, they said, you need to read about reparations. I sat down, you can ask my wife, and I was binging through reparations book. And I just finished another one yesterday. So my thing to them is everything that they're talking about that is the pathway to reparations, every scholar disagrees with them. Every scholar disagrees with them. Westmore is more aligned with what these scholars are saying. We are over studies. Give me the work that's going to address the things that's keeping Black people from an equal life in America. And in this case, in Maryland. That's what the brother said. I'm not against that.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So let me level set a little bit by saying that, like, I do disagree with a lot of the tactics when it comes down to people who are trying to get reparations, no matter what organization you are from, because when it comes down to reparations in America, people forget how important the electoral aspect of trying to get reparations is, right? You have to create a coalition, and no matter what, the Congressional Black Caucus, even if the Congressional Black Caucus was 100% pro reparations, you still need to build coalitions outside the Black community to pass reparations. No matter what nobody says, you're not going to get that government check without some white people somewhere saying, I'm down with that, right? So I agree with Mondale. I agree with Mondale with everything he just said. I don't disagree with him. Here's where my problem comes in about Westmore and this situation. He did factually go to James Clyburn and Barack Obama and ask him for advice on how he should move for reparations. And those fundamentally are two human beings that I fundamentally just cannot trust when it comes down to reparations for Black Americans. Not even the Barack Obama, because I believe Barack Obama would give reparations before James Clyburn would in any day. Now, if information like that comes out, then it tells me that, okay, you know what? He's going to the same people that will go out of their way to not necessarily speak about reparations in a real place, in a real point, and folks that will have, and I'm sorry, Barack Obama had what? The House, he had the Senate, he had a progressive Supreme Court, and he didn't even mention the word reparations. So when it comes down to me, my only problem with West, no matter the politics behind it, is that if you ask James Clyburn and Barack Obama for advice for something, they're not going to give you an advice on some nuance about how it can get passed. They're going to give you advice about how you can get past this moment and not necessarily get it done. That's it.
That was a good word. That
was a good wordplay. It's just I think, and I hear you, but for me, that's a big character, a accusation of this brother. I don't think
I'm not assassinating this brother's personal character.
No, I understand. Not assassinating.
Who he went to, right? Like so. My problem with it getting turned down and then the information coming out from multiple sources right now. And nobody wants to speak openly because the brother's still the governor. We got to support him on doing other things. It's not a personal attack against this brother. I refuse to make that. I said he went to get advice from two people, and he obviously didn't call some of the reparations geniuses of the world. And you're absolutely right. We don't need no more studies. We've been talking about reparations, having studies on reparations, when there's been almost over somewhere around $10 million already spent on just finding out how much Americans are owed, and also independent time from professors and also legal scholars and scholars in general about how we pass reparations. I don't care about that. The only thing I care about is who he is seeking his advice from on this. Because if you're seeking your advice from a Clyburn and an Obama, which he did, that means that was a bad faith call.
Now, are we all on the same page with that piece of information, Mondale?
No.
Are you aware with that?
No.
Okay,
I am.
I'm not. It's not that I'm not aware of it. From sources that are extremely close to Westmore, and also when I say extremely close, I'm talking about extremely close. That's not the case.
Well, then my sources close to Westmore tells me something different. And
yeah,
we got two insiders with two different sources. Let me hear what is your source saying, Mondale?
No, it's not just what my source is saying. We know that Clyburn and Obama are people that talk to the only black governor in this country, for sure. He's the only black executive at that level. His point is so far more progressive than either one of those coons would. Either one of those brothers would have ever been.
Yeah.
That it doesn't ring of him. His response, I'm talking about verbatim, bro. His response is what the fire that everybody's trying to have for him. The man literally said, Maryland has already conducted numerous studies on this topic, and that focus should not be on studying. It should now be on taking action to address the racial wealth gap and other disparities that exist in black community because of white racism. That is the comment. Barack Obama has never been that loud, that vocal, that strong-throated, that full-throated on reparations. Clyburn won't even taste the word reparation without saying some white pope might believe it too. I'm joking, but I'm serious.
Yeah. Nah, we've seen that with Jim Clyburn on so many issues. And I know just in the time that we've been doing the show and the episodes that we did, it's like we always have to talk about what Jim Clyburn is blocking on behalf of black people. But Marcus, let me ask you this: in that context of what Mondale is reporting and what Wes Morgan has apparently said, that it's not that he's blocking reparations. He said, like, we don't need any more studies. How do you feel about that?
I absolutely, like I told you, I absolutely agree with that. Like, we're on the same page. We don't like. If you ask me right now, if I see another HR 40 instead of seeing a reparations bill, I'm going to lose my damn mind. I don't care about that because the studies have been done. Matter of fact, we don't even have to do studies. We can just look at right now the incarceration rate for institutionalized racism for black people across America. And that right there on its own is worth billions of dollars of reparations. And if we look at factually what the CIA did to black communities in the late 70s, early 80s, late 80s, reparations is all right there. Or we can look at redlining after World War II, when the black veterans came back from World War II, and our houses were valued at a lower rate than white households were valued. We're owed reparations. Or we can look at how we were actually promised 40 acres in the mule alongside the St. Johns River down in Jacksonville, Florida, where all the black people were supposed to go after slavery was over, and that never happened. For that's reparations, right? There's a million reasons that we don't even need a study for, but we probably need a study for the numbers. But the numbers have been done so many times that I don't disagree with Wes about that. Now, here's the question. The question becomes, are you going to use your power as the governor? When it comes down to things, are you going to use your power as the governor to make sure that exact bill comes to you? That's when we question integrity or not, right? Does that bill come up? Because here's my thing. Everybody in the House and the Senate, it's not the House and the Senate in Maryland. I forgot what it is in Maryland. Yeah. But everybody that's in state government, that's an elected official, that's not the governor or whatever the hell, they got a bill that they want to get passed. They got a bill that they want to get signed. They got a bill that they need to get through. They told their constituents, whoever voted them in, hey, you know what? I'm going to do X, I'm going to do Y, I'm going to do Z. And the governor needs to sign that bill. If I don't hear him saying, okay, well, guess what, buddy? You bring to me reparations. Here's the study for it. You write this bill, we go by these numbers, and we get this passed, then I think it's cap. And I think it was an excuse to push the thing along without actually.
See, this is the problem with thinking without facts behind it. And I'm not saying Marcus, I'm not saying that you're not a
what did I say wrong?
I'm gonna tell you.
All right, yeah.
In his statement, he already said what you're challenging him to say. When you when he say we're done with studies, bring me a bill with works that's about the work to address the wealth gap and also other disparities. That is saying bring me a reparation bill and I'll sign it. That's exactly what he said.
Okay, hold on.
So I don't think but hold on.
Say bring me a reparations bill that is already these say.
And I think it's these words right here that get people hung up. I don't need a reparations bill that's named reparations. I just need to address the problem that is reparations. So I don't care if it's called moonshot. I don't care if it's called Black people moonshot. If it does what it's supposed to do to bring us closer to equity in this country, it is reparations.
Let me ask this question. Go ahead. No, I was going to shift just ever so subtly because I am interested in and Mondale, you said that some of your time that you've been that you've had to be on social media, you've seen the FBA conversations around this lean into just outright attacking Wes Morgan and not even doing it based on facts. I want to ask you about that, what you're seeing in context of this. I'm not really seeing them say a lot about the stuff that Trump is doing. Now, truthfully, I'm gonna be fair. I really haven't seen a lot come from them lately anyway. So from your perspective though, like what are you seeing them say about the governor of Maryland and kind of compare that energy to what they're saying or not saying about Trump?
Yeah, I mean, their energy, this is my problem with that crowd. Their energy for Westmore is very similar to their energy for Democrats during the 2024 election cycle, right? Where they're expecting everything from Democrats, nothing from Republicans. There was no fire at Donald Trump about reparations or even acknowledging that Black people are equal to white people, right? Like that's never been a question for them to pose towards those people. And I think we're seeing the same thing. They're calling his brother coon, everything. But here's what I was going to say, Ben, because I want to get back to this question that you asked, because this is why I meant when I said in the first statement, Ben, Marcus, when I said we don't have the political acumen to effing be in this position right now. And we're not serious enough. What I mean by that is we have one Black governor in this country. One Black governor. And guess what it is for that Black governor? It's re-election season. He runs again in 2026. We should be asking who sabotaged his brother like this? Where was this bill with his first year in office?
That's right.
Where was this conversation his first year in office? Who introduced this bill right now? Who introduced this bill to make it a lightning rod for whoever's running against this brother? That person that introduced this bill is the enemy. They're doing the work of the enemy. This is a first year bill.
What you think about that, Marcus?
Listen, like, first off, when it comes down to like, see, I'm gonna keep it real, man. When it comes down to reparations, and I'm gonna talk about historical facts here. When it comes down to reparations, people have used every excuse on the books to not get it to the table. Every single excuse on the books. I'm talking about from California and Gavin Newsom and the games that the Democratic caucus played out there, where Gavin Newsom got to keep his hands off of it. Meanwhile, he's planning on running for president, and then like it doesn't even get to his desk because he had the state Black caucus literally shut it down to Republican legislators and Democratic legislators trying to stop individual cities in Illinois from passing reparations bills by actually saying that in order to have the word reparations, whatever, you have to go through the state. Like all these different laws across the nation right now to keep reparations from actually happening, right? Like to keep reparations from actually like going down and for it being a sort of a legitimate thing to happen. You know, I'm not trying to knock Wes Moore. Matter of fact, the simple fact that he is the only black governor is something that I want to emphasize, especially in a day and age where the black people are in the Democrats are in Georgia are lining up to start to run for governor down here, right? I don't have a problem with Wes, and I actually agree with the sentiments about having all this smoke for Democrats and not having none for Trump. I got smoke for everybody. I personally got smoke for everybody. Matter of fact, screw everybody. Ain't nobody doing nothing for us, right? And when it comes down to it, like we can look at Trump and what's happening with DeSantis, Trump, and FAMU right now versus, and we can also look at Republicans and what they're doing to David Hogg, whether you like him or not, right? Just because he's calling a little bit of truth to power, and yes, there is. We can get into that later on, but just because he's calling a little bit of truth to power, there's people who want him out. Yes, I understand there's regulatory things going on, but Democrats suck also, right? So my thing is, who's going to pass reparations? I don't get like we can have.
And this is why.
I'm not finished.
Go ahead, bro.
We can have a lot of hyperbole about it, right? Which is happening, right? You know, when I see things, I look at things from the factual level of how many statewide reparations do we have in America right now? How many? How many statewide or versions of it? And I'm not talking about a jobs bill. I'm not talking about. Oh yeah, you get a tax break. I'm talking about. You know what? Black people in the state of Georgia and the state of X, Y, and Z owe black people X amount of dollars. Cut the motherfucking check. And you can call it whatever you want to. You can call it the happy people bill. You can call it the white flight bill. You can call it whatever you want, right? But when is it going to happen? And is it going to happen, or is this just another placeholder for not having the conversation? I mean, it doesn't lose me that Wes is in a runoff right now. I mean, Wes is in a election season right now. I'm not lost on that, right? I mean, and to be honest with you, like no one has ever touched the topic of reparations during my baby get taken care of. Like I get it. There's never been someone who had to tackle reparations during an election season.
That's right.
You dig what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like ain't nobody getting props on nothing until it happened. Not with me.
Let me.
I think. Go ahead, Ben.
No, because I was going to shift a little bit. You go first.
Yeah, I think, and listen, I know we got an entire show to do, Ben. I'm so sorry. I just want to, and I don't want to belittle this because I don't need the last point. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said the mayor's getting a facial. Y'all will play. Man, the score game is ridiculous. we ghetto. No, here's my thing. I think it's coy. It's a bit coy. We're being a bit coy with what actually happens. First of all, I am not a proponent. I need to be clear about this because I don't want to be seen as a fake. I am not a proponent of statewide reparations at all. I think that is the cop-out. Statewide reparations, individual states doing reparations when they can and where they can will always leave black people on the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Rich states can afford to pay more to black people, even black people that may have suffered more. Talking about states like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. We don't need a state. And also, furthermore, there's not a state in this country that can pay its black residents what they're owed. The federal government has the ability to print the money to pay us. We need a federal reparations bill, period.
Yeah.
There's no need to muddy the water. This brother was not unclear with what he said. Give me a reparations bill that actually speaks to the work, and I'm here for it. Here's my problem. This is how unserious people are. HB 287 or whatever the bill was, 290, whatever, talking about reparations bills in Maryland. This is how unserious they are, Ben. What have FBA and ADOS people been saying about black people from outside of the country? What do they call them?
Tethers.
Tethers.
Yeah.
Need to go home. They can't have this money.
Right.
Who introduced this bill? Who co-signed this bill? White people,
Oh,
white people, Spanish people. The bill was introduced by Alvarez from Trinidad, a black brother from Trinidad. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now they want to say, I don't know how they think they can have it both ways. They can only have both ways in a world where they're not paying attention, when people are not paying attention, and they want their politics microwave for them. Like that, you don't need to do the research to understand the facts. Because it's them that's saying that these foreigners are our enemies. They come over here and they don't work for us. But it was a Trinidadian activist that introduced the bill. These are people who's trying to sabotage West.
Yeah, you asked the question a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, we need to investigate what's the motive of these people who introduced this bill right now. Most of them are not what they call, like they're not black. So let's talk about. I mean, we can talk about that, but I'm thinking, I don't know who took the paycheck. I'm certain we're going to find out who took the paycheck. Eventually, it's going to come out if somebody donated to somebody's PAC, somebody's campaign, so that they can introduce this bill right now. Because what it does is it becomes an anchor around Westmore's leg, not just for this election. Because what happens is if they put reparations right now, not even reparations, just a study. And the reason they did a study is because they know he would have signed the bill of reparations. Think about that. Did we even consider that? They didn't offer a reparations bill because they know this crazy Bama would have signed it.
Yeah.
Have we had that conversation? Why aren't we having that conversation?
Hey man, he would have hit the black.
We lack the faith in black people to do what's right for black people. And I think that's scary. That's why I wanted to push back on Marcus, Ben, and I'm gonna shut up. Marcus said, ain't nobody doing nothing for us. It's 550,000 black electeds in this country. Let's not get what's going on in DC confused with people who are busting their ass for their communities regularly. That's all I wanted to say.
Let me move the ball just a little bit, because here's my thought. At the same time, we have a couple of conversations about reparations happening. We've had conversations about reparations for decades now, right? But there's a recent push, 2 different instances, one with Westmore, and one with Congresswoman. Her name escapes me right now. But my question is this: in the actual environment that we're living in, it's like we're going so far backwards in terms of white America, that we honestly have to have conversations about them instigating and wanting and planning for a race war / race massacre. And it's not, I don't want to put this all off on FBA. I actually want to put this off on all of us, even though all of us are pro reparations. But I'm wondering, like, shouldn't we? It's not even a matter of it being realistic, but it's almost like, are folks missing the current in the country right now, where it's whether or not we can get reparations, should we go for it? Absolutely. But I'm wondering if, like, FBA and folks are really seeing, like, we're so far past the ability to get reparations on the federal level that we actually having to have conversations about how we're going to protect ourselves if these white folks jump off with the race massacre that they want.
I would argue that I would argue that we need to pay more attention to an alliance that was broken maybe 60 or 70 years ago. That alliance was our brothers and sisters on the African continent. When we saw the diaspora was strong, we had all of the new leaders coming on board in Africa, going to HBCUs and going back, taking black pride to their people, right? People forget that Kwame, the first leader over there in the first free African nation after European rule, went to an HBCU, right? People forget who Patrice Lumumba and all of these guys were to the black community here. People forget that black people were safe in Africa, so much so that there are schools all over that continent named after Malcolm X and not, you know what I'm saying? People forget that when America didn't recognize the work and the need for black people to be seen, it was Algiers that gave the Black Panther Party its own embassy down the street from America's embassy. Because the black issues were so important to those people. I think we need to look back over there right now in this moment. And the reason I say all of that is because our brother Ibrahim, who took over Burkina Faso and pushed these white people, these devilish whiteness out of his country and called them on them, when he caught that spy that was running a nonprofit, sending pictures of their military installations to France and America. When he caught her, He didn't treat her without dignity. He did parade her in front of the camera, sat her down beside him, and did his interview.
Mm.
And he had not just press in the audience, he had people who she had sat in their houses and took pictures with their kids, acting like she was an NGO there to support them. He said one thing that we need to recognize, Ben, and this is to your point. What that brother said was they used to send them with guns to start these wars and ugly faces. Now they send pretty faces and cameras. I would argue they've already started the racial war. That's what the mass deportation is. You can lessen the support of those who you might attack if you get rid of some of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you get rid of some of those people of color before you start this war, before you start importing whiteness, because that's what they're doing now, South Afrikaners, and they're not just importing. I thought we were over the idea of giving to immigrants, but these people come here getting houses. Ben, Marcus, these people coming here getting monies, checks. Thought we was over that with immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
But we see they make space for whiteness. So I think, Ben, the race war has already begun. We were just expecting it to start with a fire, a gunshot, but it started with deportation laws like it usually do. And we weren't watching.
Yeah.
I have a viewpoint on this one, man. 1996, the president of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, sent $1 million, tried to send $1 million to Black Americans. $1 billion to Black Americans to help us out with our economic plight, get it straight. And the administrations at the time, I believe it was a dual effort from I think it was the Clinton administration in general, turned down that money. When it comes down to foreigners, I've been thinking about this for a while. When it comes down to the black folks who are not American, I think we have a problem with the mentality of elitism across the nation. I mean, across the world, right? Because I think it would be a falsehood to say that there are a lot of elite folks of our skin tone who don't come over here and don't look at us in a certain fashion because they had to make it. I would be wrong to say that, but I'll also be wrong to say that that's not most of the people. That's not most of the African colonies. That's not most of the folks who are in Africa right now. Because I've witnessed it personally, right? And am I stereotyping across the board? No, I'm actually a fan of the diaspora. But I also understand that what the diaspora is more than just the diaspora is folks who are standing on the street corner in Nigeria or in Ghana specifically who want to love on and be a part of the American culture and want more. The diaspora is the Ghana government literally giving us houses and money to come over there and live. Black Americans, right? The diaspora is Black folks who are in different areas of Africa who don't have a problem with Black Americans, who understand the struggle. The diaspora is the relationship between Lumumba and the letters and the communication between him and Malcolm X. The communications between Black leadership, and if there's a problem with one of us, there's a problem with all of us. I think there is some missing information when it comes down to this whole tether conversation. I almost fell into the trap myself, but I recognized that, like, most of at Florida A&M University, when I was in fifth grade, walking on campus, the massive amounts of Black people from Africa who were on that campus teaching me my history, right? Having a consistent job. When I think about Dr. Akime, who's a city councilman in Tallahassee right now, who basically could rival Will Packer or Alan Williams when it comes down to being Mr. FAMU with all the years that he spent there, right? When I think about a lot of folks, and I think that we get this thing confused when it comes down to a small segment of folks who look at elitism and say, I made it, you should too, versus the general people who come over here and know that what affects them because of their skin color. Because most of them come over here thinking, man, you know what? I look just like these brothers. And whatever happens to them randomly could happen to me just because of the color of my skin. And they're not going to say, are you from Africa? They're going to say, you're an immigrant and you look like a nigger.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to point that out. I'm not trying to understand nobody. One thing I am understanding is that it's a lot deeper than what FBA places every single foreign person to be. And there is a certain thing as the diaspora. And if you believe it, then like, you know, we build power through numbers, man. Let me tell you something. America wouldn't have been able to capitalize and put its imperial stamp on the world without help from England, right? Like white folks help white folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, look.
It is what it is. Meanwhile, there's not, this is the last statement I want to make. There's not enough of solidarity when it comes down to Black Americans actually going back over to Africa and investing in the infrastructure and the powers that be that on the opposite flip end. Our money doesn't go back over there. And we don't even make money off of Africa. No, we sit back and we let China, first it was Europe. And I'm not saying we have a lot of money to do it. What I'm saying is there's a lot of investment opportunities and a lot of want and need for Black Americans to go back to Africa, multiple different countries, multiple different areas. And they want us to be a part of their culture. They want a lot of us to come on. I mean, Ghana had a whole 4 years of asking Black Americans specifically to come home with money, with resources, without any credit check.
So Marcus, I'm confused because you started out saying that Ghana, you said like diaspora would be countries like Ghana, making sure that paying for Black people to repatriate.
What you said?
You said at the beginning of your statement, you said if the diaspora was a real thing, you said it would be.
No. If it wasn't a real thing, like I do believe in the diaspora, and what I'm saying is that there's a lot of folks who come from these countries, like, and they get their doctorates, and I mean, there is legitimate conversations around people from different countries, whether Black or European or wherever, and talk down on Black Americans. That's a factual thing.
I mean, there are Black people in America that are Black people in America that talk down on Black people.
I'm not finished. And also, I think that there has to be listen, I'm going to tell y'all like this right here. Niggas ain't perfect. And what I mean by that, and I've been wanting to say that for a while.
Finish your thought, Marcus. Come on,
wrap it up, B. Wrap it up, B.
What I mean by that is very simple, right? Like, we like to take, I see people like to take the aspect of nothing that a certain group of people say are right, and you're completely wrong. So let's isolate people. Let's say that nothing that they say is true. Let's make sure that we make a fool out of a whole group of people, when I don't believe in that, because everybody has gone through individual situations. And also, I don't have to take the same viewpoint as mainstream Black America. I don't have to do that. And I'm never going to do that, because there's truth in everything. A broken clock might be wrong twice a day, right? So at the end of the day, there are some people who say that, you know what, I have a problem with foreign folks who come over here and talk crap about us, because that shit does happen. It happened to me personally. But what I'm saying is, in general, it's not like that, right? It's not like that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to be the person that says, fuck all the FBA. I'm not going to be the person that says, fuck all the ADOS. You know why I'm not going to do that? Because there are some points that every single group makes. And here's my thing. We have done that so much that we isolate people who should be watching us, instead of teaching these people how to come over here and what the nuance is of how we actually go about things. What I'm sick and tired of is us othering people. We Black. I ain't othering nobody. I leave that to y'all niggas. And you can make all the faces you want to. Go on, do all that shit you want to.
Come on, man, land your plane. Don't worry about my face. Don't worry about my face.
Because this whole I'm better than art thou, because I have, like, I'm smart and I'm a Black American, that's bullshit. That's cap. That's cap. That's not humble.
Okay.
That's not humble. That's ego.
I'm not humble with Blackness, though.
I'm not running with that no more.
So are you, Marcus? Come on, bro.
Nobody ever
rant at this point. I hear you.
No, I'm done. I'm
Okay,
done.
I hear you. Listen,
All this.
that was me being funny. Wrap it up,
Yeah,
B.
yeah, yeah.
It came from Dave Chappelle movie. You seen the movie, dog? Calm
All
down,
right, you
baby.
got it.
Calm down. I love you.
Yeah,
Say
man.
it back.
You
Say
got
it back.
some morphine going on. You think you can just like get high and
I
start
love
talking
you. Say
shit?
it back. I love you. Say it back.
I love you too.
All right, now get on mute. Let me help you real quick. Man. Gotta manage light skinned people, man. That's my job.
Nah, man, I gotta manage cap ass shit. That's what I gotta do.
So listen, let me tell you something. Here's my thing, and here's why I think me and Marcus differ. Marcus has, I guess, more patience for FBA than I do, because I don't think just because a broke clock is right 2 times a day or a broke watch is right 2 times a day that I'm gonna walk around with it on all day. I might look at it and say, "Oh wow, look how the stupid broke watch that won't work even when the battery's in their back finally got it right." I'm not okay with that. If the majority of the movement is negative and bad, then that's what the fruit is. I don't care about the 2 instances or the minority of instances where they're right. I don't have time to deal with people who sow so much discourse, because what will happen is the 98% of the time when they're wrong, they're feeding disinformation to our communities. And the 2 times that they're right, our communities won't see that. So I don't care about that. So I am for the othering Negroes who are willing to play with the importance of Blackness and unity throughout the idea that we judge all of the entire diaspora based off the elite. That would say that the equivalent of that is judging Black people based off of Barack Obama, LeBron James, Jay-Z, Beyonce, dare I say Diddy. That's not the average Black experience. And it would be stupid for anybody outside of this country to say that we should judge Black people based off of what we see out of their stars. So I don't want to hear about the elite that come over here. I said the diaspora. The diaspora was not an elite space.
I wasn't talking about diaspora.
Hold on, brother. You want me to wrap it up? In short, look, Ben, in short,
Yes.
I think we just have different point of views. I am not cool with thinking people that are wrong intentionally talking about Black people and our unity to other Black people outside of the diaspora. 98% of the time, I don't care what happens to that movement. That's how I feel. That's all.
Okay, he got to end the last point. I'm gonna end this point. We shouldn't have more smoke for FBA than we do for Obama. Let's move on.
Let's go, Ben. What you got? Well, did you have something to add to it?
I'm trying to figure out if I'm a moderator or if I'm gonna jump in there, because I have a historic beef with Obama, so I think I have a good standing on this one. I still would say FBA is far more detrimental to the Black community than Obama. I think Obama was Obama, but I still got
what? You mean the man who had power?
Absolutely.
The man who actually gave us.
Oh wow! So y'all,
the man who gave us affordable.
Detrimental.
I was a former president.
Hold on, Marcus. Hold on, Marcus. Let him go.
Oh my God!
I wasn't through that. The reason I say this is because there is, let's list any number of things that Barack Obama did that was detrimental to the Black community. Let's go down the list. My beef with Obama is all the stuff that he didn't do, all the stuff that he actively had the power to get done and didn't do because he decided to listen to Rahm Emanuel, right? I mean, my beef with Obama go back to before he even got into office. It goes back to how he ditched Jeremiah Wright. It goes back to any number of things. So I got beef with Barack Obama, and quite honestly, I'm kind of glad we're finally at a stage where Negroes will start taking his picture off their mantelpiece at home. That's where I'm like, let's not put him up there with Malcolm, Martin, and Jesus. Put him in the newspaper and leave him in the back room. FBA, their leader, specifically their leader, the one who owns the copyright, the trademark for it, Tariq Nasheed, is an op. And he has admitted himself that he was offered money by white supremacy. I can pull up the clip. By white supremacy to divide the diaspora. You know what I mean? That greasy nigga is actively harming our ability to have global solidarity, because he has one of the biggest, his platform bigger than ours. You know what I mean? He got a big enough platform to actually impact and change the conversation that hinders our ability to keep. We don't even have, it's not even to get, it is we have lost the solidarity that we have because of the diaspora wars. And if you name a person who's at the top of the diaspora wars, it's going to be Tariq Musty Ass Nasheed. Excuse me, Lord.
Hey, man, I agree. Ben, I agree with that.
Okay.
Now, I want what I'm trying to do is level set, gentlemen. That's it, right? Like, there's a lot of people who follow FBA that need to learn, right? There's a lot, like, I'm sorry, there is. And if I'm going to continue with having a platform of any type, then my thing is, maybe I do have more patience than Mondale. I got a lot less patience for neoliberals than Mondale does. I'm not sitting up here saying you support them. I'm just saying I have a lot less. I cannot even deal with them Negroes in any form or fashion.
They are triggering. They are triggering.
I think personally, they're more dangerous than FBA. I think neoliberal black people are more dangerous than FBA could ever be, ever.
If I could jump in there real quick, look at how divided black folks is right now, right? We do have a problem. I ain't gonna front. Like, see, I guess I am good to moderate, because I'm not sometimes Mondale, every now and then Mondale mentions something from the neoliberal camp that I'm like, I don't know, Mondale. And then on your side, Marcus, you're like with FBA, and I'm like, I don't know. But truth is, what's true is that we divided up that far, and even more so, because then you can divide the neoliberals up to the progressive black folks who are progressive, but they try to stay comfortable because they in those in elected positions, and so they pass some neoliberal bills. You know, we are divided in every category. So it's how can we get reparations? Forget about reparations. How can we even defend ourselves as black people, as white folks are unifying around a race massacre, when we divided in so many silos, and we got people who are actively paid to make those divisions even deeper?
Yeah.
I think for me, my problem is, like, I think we use term. I'm you guys know I'm a nerd, so when I hear neoliberal, I always think people are using it wrong. I never quote anything for neoliberalism. I think what y'all are saying is that some. Go
ahead. I'm thinking. I'm thinking my catalog. Go ahead.
Because I think for me, I'm a nerd. You two know that. Neoliberalism is a conservative standpoint. Neoliberalism came about with Carter, right? This is where you're talking about deregulating businesses. This is about capital markets. This is about reducing the size of government, intervention, and all of that, privatization of public services. I am anti all of that. I said I ran on a platform for mayor. We need a universal basic income. Everybody needs free health care. We don't need insurance companies in it. I think what y'all are saying is sometimes
that's you. That's you,
not
bro.
me. That's the real definition.
No, what I'm saying.
No. We saying he was Mondale was actually about to get to where you going, Marcus.
Okay.
Go ahead, finish, because y'all saying the same thing before we explode. Yeah, I was saying the same thing. Go ahead.
So for me, I think the word neoliberalism get mixed up with establishment Democrats, because we hear the word liberal sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But neoliberalism is a word that means conservatives trying to deregulate for capitalist markets. I have no.
That's fair. That's fair, my man. So if I may, from now on, I am going to attempt to, every single time I say this, I'm going to say neoliberal, establishment Democrat, gatekeeper, black people.
Now.
That's because that's what I mean.
Now, Mondale, you know I'm much as a nerd as you. Probably got you on some nerdom a whole lot. And I know neoliberalism now. Y'all do say Carter, and I know Carter started some deregulation. So he was probably okay. We'll give him the first one, but let's be real. It was Reagan and Margaret Thatcher who brought that thing on the global stage like a ton of bricks. When I say neoliberalism, I'm actually talking about two things. Neither one of them is establishment Democrats. I'm talking about the neoliberal economic policies that you're talking about, right? And it just so happens that there are a lot of establishment Democrats who carry that mantle, They are as neoliberal as Ronald Reagan was, right? Bill Clinton was certainly a neoliberal. So when I say it, I am talking about the economic policy as well as the Democrats who carry that water for them. But then I'm also talking about it on the international stage. It's also a political theory for global cooperation. So I am talking about it, those nuances. So when I said what I said is that, you know, I'm not saying that you've ever parroted. I've never heard you say anything that is neoliberal. But sometimes you end up hell, I end up defending Kamala Harris one day, and she got neoliberal economic policy. Sometimes you know, we fall on defending them, and we might be defending them for other reasons, but at the core of what they believe economically, they're economically neoliberal.
Okay, I have no argument or pushback with that. That is a perfectly description.
Okay, all right.
I'm the bad guy.
No, we all just agreed. We all just agreed. And you, is it? I really got to know.
You know what though? I will be you guys. I will be Darth Vader.
You don't have to be Darth Vader.
I will be the bad guy.
Why do you need to be the bad guy?
Well, because here's the thing, man. Sometimes you gotta be, because the bad guys in most of the movies nowadays, the bad guys are the ones, your green screen on, Ben. Most of the times, the bad guys are the ones who are actually the ones that are right. In most movies, the bad guys are the ones who are actually right.
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem right there. That little smile that you got on your face. And that smile because you said in most movies, the bad guys actually right. In most movies, they're not based on fact. They're action made up by just fiction.
Listen, my thing is very simple, and we can move on from it. My thing is really, really simple, right? Like, I'm gonna say the smoke for everybody because I do got smoke with Tariq Nasheed, right? I do. I think I've been in the spaces where I actually see him radicalizing folks in real time. Hence me saying that I don't feel comfortable thinking that every black person from a different country is out to get us, knowing that there have been black people in my personal history that developed me into a damn near an intellectual. I think I am an intellectual, even though I yell a lot. I would be wrong and remiss to think that some of the people who were my elementary school teachers, I was raised in a black culture, and in Tallahassee, Florida, in the 80s and in the 90s, African people were a part of our culture, right? Olabisi is a woman that raised me, bro, like that literally watched me every day, got me into the Black Panthers, got me into Black liberation, and she was nowhere from this country, right? Right. So I would be remiss to think that all of these folks, but I also would not lie and say that I had a doctor that literally didn't want to service me because I was his only black client. Like we gotta keep it real. There are African people that call black people in America akatas. That's a real thing. And if we hold on now, and I'm not saying
how do we get back here?
The difference is, I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying, like, we have to have a nuanced conversation about these things because there is realism versus fakeness to it. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, but I think to think about it. I think to think about us, that makes this show unique and necessary. For me, the reason it feeds my soul is because we don't do what other people do. Other people talk about opinions. While we laugh and joke a lot, and we articulate from an expert point of view in our different realms, we usually leave it to the facts, right? And for me, here's what I mean by facts. Like, I'm a part of, my favorite part of like advanced degrees was the social statistics, right? Because what I learned in there was something that I take with me in all aspects of my life. When people say things and they're like, well, in my people that I know, or my family said, or this person did this, or I know because I dated the black women and they were acting like this, that is not indicative of being a reason to talk about that set of people in that manner as if it's factual. That is anecdotal. That's the word, anecdotal. I like talking about this context, or I feel like we should be talking about things on Clickbaity in context that's not anecdotal. We should spend very little time on anecdotals and spend a lot of time on what's statistically true so as to move the conversation and remind people that it's not happening out in the real world. People aren't talking about it. Man, can you scroll back up to Braxton's more comment about
not his last comment, right?
the fight is contentious.
Let's see.
And I'm gonna tell y'all why maybe I have a different point of view than some folk. See, people are stuck on this idea that they're not willing to write people off. Here's what I know from political fact. And leave that up for me, Ben. From political fact. Facts don't change people's mind. Bringing people along is a myth. It's a myth as big as upward mobility in the United States. There's no such thing for Black people called upward mobility, yet we all fight and act like it's a thing. And the few that do make it out, turn around and look at those who didn't and say, I did it, why can't you? That is not, in science, the thing that happens over and over and over again is what is the definition of science. Something that can happen in an equal context and be repeated. Right? That becomes no longer theory. That is it. That is the thing. And those things that happen differently, according to that, is an outlier. That's what you call it, an outlier. Black people being successful in America are outliers because America was not set up for Black people to be successful. So when people tell me that, you can bring them on or you can change their hearts, you can win them over, it's never happened. Don't happen.
Yeah.
So let me land it. This guy, the reason I want this comment up here is because I don't have time to take energy that I can spend engaging with people that would see the world like we see it and could change election outcomes on spending that energy on people who don't see the world the way I do or feel the way that they do. So this comment is problematic for me because it sounds like how you waste resources. This is a wasting of resource statement for me. I could take my energy and spend it on people who can win an election and change outcomes for Black people. And this line of thinking says that I'm supposed to still have grace for Klan member, for racists, for neo-Nazis. And I don't need to have grace for those people. And I think that is the flaw in being the oppressed. You always think you're taking the high road by being graceful. Michelle Obama said, if they go low, I go high. My thinking is if they go low, I go to hell. So
it depends. Hey, you catch me. It depends on what day you catch me. You catch me on the right day. I might. I don't. Let me start with an anecdote, and I'll end with Braxton's comment here, because I do see where Braxton is coming from. I'll be honest with you. I see where he's coming from. I see a piece of what Marcus is coming from, because I think, Marcus, some of what you're saying, I don't know if you read the comment, but I feel like what you said is tied into this too. Right. Saying that some of them are redeemable. Some of them, I guess I'm starting there. Some of them are in that movement and they're lost because, one, there has been a void. And it's not a void because people ain't been trying to talk. It's like there's a priority on the algorithm when it comes to anti-Pan-Africanism. That gets promoted. Our voices, people who are like global liberation, global solidarity, our voices are throttled. And so when there's a void, people will go and listen to Tariq Nasheed, right? And I think that there are some people who have been listening to Tariq Nasheed who are just really honestly waiting for a chance to hear the truth. And so to that end, I as much as I dislike, and I will categorize it, and I'll say FBA, and when I say it, I want to be specific. It's FBA because it's a corporate brand for Tariq Nasheed that he owns the trademark for. It's a business and a shirt branding for him. So when I say FBA, I should be more specific and identify it as that, because will I have grace for sorting through 10,000 of them to find 100 of them that are worth that would be on the right side of things? I do. I personally, I could and I would, but I ain't found those yet. I feel like God and Lot, like, is there 50 people over there who saved? I'll save the city. Is there 10 over there? It's just that
find me 5 of them.
Find me 5 FBA that ain't as sick and twisted as Tariq Nasheed. And again, that's just me being extra. But if I found them, but what I'm saying, but if I found them, then I'll be like, hey, let's bring them in. Let me just give you a quick anecdote real quick though. because I did some studies overseas in Costa Rica some years ago, and it was, I'll never forget that night, man. I mean, I was pissed to 38 hot, sitting with a Haitian brother who I love to this day, and a sister that we met from Costa Rica who was like a tour guide, and another sister from I forgot where she was from. And they were collectively, the three of them, coming after me as being an American descendant of enslaved. It wasn't ADOS back then because it was that long ago. And they were coming at me with the idea themselves in their head that Black folks in America don't have culture. And they hit that over and over and over again. And then I was just one Black man who didn't even know my history deep enough to just go one by like I know it now. Like if I was there now, I can go piece by piece by piece. I can go 366 days of Black history, of our Black culture, specifically folks in Black America. But it was enough to trigger me, piss me off, make me upset, and be angry. But I'll be honest with you, I never walked away from that conversation feeling like I'm still not a part of a global diaspora. I came out of that conversation with two things. Number one, honestly, I was like, F y'all. But then number two, I need to get up on all of my history so that when somebody tries that with me again, I can spit it out faster. I can spit the truth faster than they can spit the lies. But it was seared in my memory that I had a Haitian brother and a Black sister from Costa Rica who came at me with that energy. I just didn't extrapolate it to the whole diaspora.
Yeah, can I?
Well, hold on 1 second. I got one.
Just one spot.
Real quick.
Go ahead, Mark.
12, 17, 21. Bear with each other and forgive one another. And if any of you has grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. What I'm saying is very simple.
Who wrote Romans?
That's Romans 12, 17.
No, I said who wrote Romans?
I don't know. Who wrote Romans?
The Apostle Paul, but go ahead.
Apostle Paul, right? Yeah, I thought something like that.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying. I do know 10 people, 20 people, 50 people in both movements. ADOS, way more than ADOS is not even in the same category. I know a lot of people in FBA who literally don't have information, and the vacuum was taken. And when it comes down to it, like the same way I forgive people who come over here and call us Acatas, is the same way I'm going to forgive Black folks who come over who think that the diaspora is not a real thing. It's not my job to ostracize and turn people away. Guess why? Because at one point, I'm going to want reparations. And just like we said earlier in this conversation, we're going to need a what? Coalition, right? Coalition to pass these bills. We're going to need, in order for us to get the Civil Rights Bill passed, you think it was a bunch of Black people who passed that? I'm trying to figure this out. So while we're busy isolating, ostracizing, and pointing fingers at a certain group of people, when in actuality, I believe it's our job to educate and move on. Maybe this is a conversation that we need to take offline. But at the end of the day, all I'm going to say is we don't have the people. We don't believe you. We need more people. We don't have because if people are engaged in that bullshit, then it should definitely be over here engaged with us. So at the end of the day, no, I'm not gonna agree with you, Mondale, or anything about ostracizing anybody that wants to be a part of a movement. Some people are frankly just lost. Now, don't get me wrong. Writing people off. Guess who else writes folks off? The government against Black people. Writing people off. Guess what? Who else just writes people off? The establishment Democrats and the neoliberal Democrats and Black people. Guess who writes people? We get wrote off all the time. I'm not going to be the person that writes off Black folks. I'm going to be the person that educates them.
I feel that.
Let me get to my point. I think this is trash behavior. Implying how I'm talking about FBA to what the government do to Black people when the government has a long history.
Slippery slope.
Impressive. It ain't no slippery slope, dog.
I mean,
do you have the same energy you got for FBA? You got it for the Klan member too? You willing?
Yeah, I got more of it for them. Don't try me.
Hold on.
No.
Calm down.
Pause. since it's trash behavior, right?
Let me finish. Hold on, Marcus.
Let me tell you something.
Marcus, I just listened to you.
Not listening
Marcus,
to what
I just listened to you, dog.
And instead of taking it personally,
Marcus,
I wasn't trying
I'm
to
not taking it personal.
I just gave my thought process,
Marcus,
my brother.
Listen, bro.
How you gonna beat up on a man in a hospital bed?
It don't matter about that. He ain't listening.
I'm gonna punch him in the side. Hey,
he ain't listening.
I am listening to you.
You know you're talking at me.
No,
really?
I listen to you and I respond.
Marcus, you can't listen and talk. You're listening to formulate thought. I listened to you. I didn't interrupt you once. You said you don't. I said, do you have the same energy for the KKK that you do have for the FBA? I ain't talking about. Stop saying yes until you finish. You ain't let me finish. Because when I finish, you're gonna look like no. I don't have.
You're gonna say no. Yeah.
Exactly. When I say that, you said you're not willing to write off people. So are you not willing to write off the Klans members either?
Am I willing to write off Klans members? Yes, the fuck I am. Completely different.
Exactly. So that means you have different energy. So that means you have different energy. Let me finish. That means you have different energy for Klan people and also the FBA.
Oh, that
means you have certain people. Hold on, stop. You listen to me, brother. You're already doing this. You're not listening to me. You're formulating a thought. You're gonna miss the rest. What I'm saying is you have certain people you are willing to write off. And you just named that. So I'm telling you, people who feed misinformation, disinformation to my people are equal to those who are Klans member. I don't care that you don't put on the sheet. I don't believe that racism are just people who burn crosses or racist. And the reason I asked you who wrote Roman is because we teach and preach out of Paul way too much. Because Paul, sorry, Pastor, I don't want to do this, but it's gonna come out.
I'm probably gonna agree with you. Go ahead.
Because Paul had the protection of the Roman Empire because he was born in what is now current day Turkey, which was a part of the Roman Empire. This is why you hear Paul books, anything written by Paul, you hear him say, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Mm-hmm.
Masters, slaves, obey your masters. All of these language, all of this slave language, all these books that the slave Bible is full of books written by Paul. It is Paul who the disciples would have to go back to other churches after he went there and be like, that is not of Christianity. This is why Ben said the apostle Paul, not the disciple Paul. He was not a disciple, and the disciples didn't rock with him, and they questioned if he ever met Jesus on that road. So so this is why I asked you what I asked you, because you like me quoting, and this is perfect. It's a perfect match to what we're talking about. It may be this is a perfect, come on, Marcus, you talk for a minute, bro. I don't mind you tell me wrap it up. I'll wrap it up. In short, since you want me to wrap it up, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, just like these people run around here, black FBA people, black people running around talking about anti-gay folk, talking about the gay agenda, and it was created by a white church from Northern California who are racist. And before they were using a gay agenda language, they were using a black agenda. So when a decade shift, they shifted. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, quoting Paul to me is just like talking about the gay agenda. And you don't even know that the white man that wrote it never had your well-being in hand. This is what Paul could never be killed instantly on the spot. He was always awarded a trial. Okay. Him telling black people or slaves of that time to mind your master is him knowing that he was always protected and he could never be a slave.
Okay. So with that being said, since you wanted to literally compare KKK versus FBA or whoever else you want to, the historical connotation of the KKK and the historical length of time they have caused terrorism and dominating black communities in America in comparison to the recent tenure of FBA and black Americans as we speak right now, black Americans right now. There are black Americans in there that have been corrupted that literally don't need to be written off. They just don't have the amount of information. There is a very big difference between the KKK and the historical destruction of black communities versus what the hell you're talking about. Whatever the hell you're talking about. That's a crazy ass fucking assumption to think that I would not write off the KKK versus black people who literally jumped on Twitter 3 days ago. Get the fuck out of here, dog. That's crazy. That's
I think
crazy.
Mondale, tell me if I'm wrong, but if what I heard you saying was in context of the scripture that he was reading and the willingness to
I'm not talking about the scripture. I'm
write.
talking about the connotation between the factual thing that he just said, which is one thing. He said, would I write off? This is his first question. Would I write off FBA members, not Tariq Nasheed, right? Like, ask me that question. I have a different answer. But people who are part of FBA, would I write all of them off versus would I write off the KKK? Come on, man. If that's not a slippery slope, then I don't know what is. I don't know what it is.
Well,
to prove a point, prove a point, black people, actual black people who just signed up or don't even know what the hell is going on, who haven't even watched Clickbaity Political Thiirsttrap one time.
No, and again, I don't have to prove. You could, Mondale, you can hold your own point, but again, I think what he was saying is in context of the scripture that you were given, that you gave. Would there be a willingness to offer that same grace that the scripture requires to the Klan, as you are?
Well, if we're God, if I speak as a godly person, I'm supposed to. If I speak as a godly person, if I speak as a man of Christ, which by the way, I do live by faith, right? That's my responsibility to do that. Would I want to? No.
Yeah.
Would I want to? Would I? No, because it's a legitimate question, right?
Yeah.
If I work in the spirit of Christ, if I work in the spirit of God, right? I'm not going to pick and I'm not supposed to pick and choose my battles. I do know my blatant historical enemy.
Yeah.
I do know my blatant historical enemy. Yeah. Versus a 18-year-old who just graduated from high school who went on Tariq Nasheed's feed and is repeating the talking points. Let me write that nigga off forever. Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. Well, in comparison to a KKK member who shows up at a South Atlanta barbecue and gets killed because he showed up to the wrong barbecue. Like, nah, dog. I'm sorry. That's not the same thing. I'm sorry. It is not.
Put Marty's point up, Ben.
Marty, which one? How far back?
Marcus, you're probably going to respond after you put it up.
He said, you missed the point, Marcus. If the FBA are spreading false facts, they're no better than the KKK other than them literally lynching our ancestors.
Okay. All right. No, I'm not. I mean, to be quite honest with you, this was about forgiveness. And to be quite honest with you, there are Black Americans. There are Black Americans that are part of that organization. I am not defending them because I don't believe in 99%, just like Mondale said, 98% of what they have spoken. I don't believe in it. But for me to turn my back on Black Americans, nope, not going to do that, because it should be a situation where we teach brothers what's right and what's wrong. That's why I mentioned the story about my even though I guess it's a subnominal or whatever, like, I guess it's just one of those things where I'm just supposed to not bring up that African people helped raise me, right? Like, that's why I believe the way that I believe about, listen, there are problematic people who came over here from different countries who have called me a collar to my face. To my face. Both of those are situations that have happened, right? But I would be wrong to not mention to the folks that are.
No, I just need you to mention them as anecdotal. You can mention both of them because both of them are true. They're just anecdotal.
So what I'm saying to you is this right here, from my lived experience. I ain't giving up. I ain't giving up on nobody. Y'all can. That's fine. Go ahead. Y'all do.
Right. So I don't know how we got back here.
I'm not finished. When it comes down to being a person of righteousness and a person that is literally trying his hardest to make sure that real Black liberation happens, it is what it is. And guess what? There's more verses about forgiveness outside of the Apostle Paul in the Bible than there is not. We can use different verses. Ben, you can write them. You can tell them out right now. There's way more than just that guy.
Well, for sure.
Wait, it was way more. I missed that part. I missed the last.
You're saying it was like taking it out of context of Paul being a Roman citizen and him writing in favor of the slave master. He's saying that.
Okay, well, let's add the fact that he's a Pharisee and the Pharisees killed.
He's saying that there's plenty of other scriptures there that suggest the forgiveness and giving people the second chance. We don't even have to reference Paul for that. That's what Marcus, I believe. That's what you're saying, Marcus. Right?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I also think, and we could do this. We could continue on the reparation conversation, this conversation, and the FBA, this dismissal of FBA folk all night, because I love this conversation and I'm cool with it, and it looks like the crowd is pretty engaged, so I'm cool with that. What I'm saying though is, what you can't do is you can't pretend that things aren't lost in translation in the Bible. We read a Bible written in English that say love your neighbor, and we automatically we hear in that same Bible written in the same English language that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. The implication is love is love. That's the implication. When you see the same word all the time, it means the same thing. Because in English, we love our dogs, we love our cars, we love our house, we love our shoes, we love our wives. But the Bible actually said is something completely different. There's 5 different words in the Bible for love, and it don't mean the same thing. Unfortunately, because it's cut down to just love, we think the Bible is telling us to love our neighbor. When it says philos, thy neighbor, really is the word philos, meaning the root word of friendship. See the human in that person and send them on their way. The Bible don't tell you to keep forgiving someone who is doing you wrong and welcome them in your house. That's a different type of love. We're talking about the root of erotic is eros. That's the type of love that you have for your spouse. And I think we don't understand it because we're not taught the Bible in Hebrew. So I don't want to hear that the forgiveness language, because God, I serve a angry God. I serve an angry God, so much so that his son knows who his dad is, and he was begging him not to destroy people as he was dying. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. He was saving lives, because my God would have killed you for that. So that is biblical. I don't see a forever forgiveness in the Bible like y'all do, and I think that might be my interpretation.
It might be, man.
Hold on, Marcus, hold on, please, brother, please, brother. A righteous God is one who reigns on against evil. We get it mixed up. This is not a God kingdom. The Bible tells you that too. Earth is not the place of God. The dominion of this place, the owner of this place is the devil. That's what the Bible says. It's Satan's playground.
Man, listen, we are actually practicing right now. We are practicing interpretation for our own benefit. And I'm doing
the Bible says.
And I'm doing.
Hold on, Marcus, you're talking over me, dog. Marcus, you're talking over me, dog.
The Bible
Marcus,
is to be interpreted.
Marcus, you're talking over me, dog. I didn't do that to you.
Yeah, actually,
I asked you to listen to me so you can answer, you can respond properly. That's what I did for you. I didn't interrupt once, dog.
Yes, teacher.
Thanks, boss. Thank you. Ben, Marcus, what I'm saying is the Bible clearly says you cannot be of the world and of God. That means God does not exist where sin is. So that's the Bible telling you that the world is sin. And that's all I'm saying. So I think for me, I would dare anybody to tell me that you think God to spread misinformation and disinformation is not ungodly. You would get spat. You are being lukewarm. You would get spat out. That's what you would do. The idea. I'm gonna say thing and I'm gonna go back on mute. I literally, brother, am sitting here listening to every point you make so I can make sure I don't misquote you or misunderstand you. But every time I'm trying to talk, you're jumping and interrupting, which tells me you're not listening. You're ready to respond.
No, actually, I was listening.
Go ahead, bro.
I was listening to you, and I mean, I don't have a personal grief or whatever. This is how we have our conversations. For you to assume that I'm not listening is actually an assumption that makes you the ass, not me, because I'm not doing nothing.
That's not an assumption. Active listening doesn't work that way.
I will continue by saying this right here. Right? We can use any interpretation of the Bible. For the non-Christian folks that don't even watch this show, that's perfectly fine also, right? Like, at the end of the day, FBA hasn't caused anywhere near the same amount of violence, death, harm as the KKK. So I think it was brought up out of false pretense to even bring up the thought process that FBA, niggas who talk a lot might have a little policy movement, but shut down, and they do spread false information. But to compare that to a hate group that literally has killed us, I'm sorry, I can't run with that one. I'm sorry, I can't. Go ahead, Mondale, say whatever you got to. But
sure. Ben, did you want to say something before I respond to that point?
I'll wait for you. Go ahead.
So my point is, my point is, I would argue that you are wrong. I would argue that the Klan has historically had 3 or 4 runs, and they are absolutely one of the worst, if not. Marcus isn't listening. But,
I'm listening to you.
No,
I'm
no,
listening to you. See, that's
no,
what I'm saying.
That's not what I'm saying. I was reading a comment, dog.
Oh,
Calm down, brother.
oh, okay.
Calm down.
Go ahead.
I love you. Say it back. I love you.
You first.
I love you. I said it.
You don't mean that. You just
I
on that
mean it.
morphine. You on that morphine right now.
Say it back, Marcus.
And you on that drip.
Say it back, Marcus.
That button, that red button.
Say it back.
I love you, Mondale.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah.
Listen, here's what I'm saying. 2 points. You said the Klan has historically killed and tortured us and caused terrorist feelings in Black people. That is a fact. I would argue the FBA's role in the loss of the last election of a Black woman has caused destruction to life, property, and also uncertainty. 200,000 people have lost their lives. We know Black people are lost their jobs. We know Black people are overrepresented in those who work for the federal government. People are being deported without due process. They need to accept their role in telling people not to vote or sowing discourse and not pointing out that fact. I also think that when you think only of death as the violence that come through, I think that's wrong. I think FBA is creating a type of violence right now, committing a type of violence right now on our electoral system that it will do long-term harm beyond the time you and I are gone.
There is a difference between assumption and fact, as you well put, right? As you put so well eloquently against any of my points that I made tonight. There's a difference between assumption and fact. The facts are communities were burned down, right? Voting, not only voting booths were taken away, voting opportunities were taken away because of the KKK. They have infiltrated our government. They have infiltrated our city halls. They have infiltrated the KKK has even paid Black people to do work against us, right? Now, we are talking about a phenomenally new, a new phenomenon called FBA versus the historical aspect of what the KKK does. I'm sorry, man. I can't roll with that one. Fundamentally, I'm not going to, because it's at the point of where we all had family members that were affected by the KKK. All of us. Yeah, Mondale, you right now, right? Like, I'm sorry, Tariq Nasheed don't got that kind of power on YouTube, bro. He doesn't. He doesn't. And until it's scientifically proven and mathematically proven in comparison to what happens in like what has happened, that we can actually count numbers. They have a whole ass thing outside of Montgomery right now where the KKK has lynched people, and EJI, shout out, you should go to the museum. The EJI Institute literally has a stone up for the amount of people that were lynched by that. Those are real numbers. Yeah, we are assuming the danger of what FBA can be, and I can understand that. But when it comes down to factual, nah, bro, we can't do that. We can't even do our own audience like that. I'm sorry, we can't.
Ben, do you want to say something?
Almost. Go ahead, Mondale.
Go ahead, brother.
I don't want to wade in on the Mondale's use of the Klan and the FBA, but I do want to say that it was in context of the scripture. And I don't for a second believe, Mondale, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe for a second you were saying the FBA was as bad as the Klan. I think what I heard you saying was that if we're asking about the extent of the forgiveness we're willing to give, are you going to be willing to forgive using that scripture, forgive the Klan the way you want folks to forgive FBA? I think those are two fundamentally different things. And I just want on the record, even for our audience, that nobody compared to me. It wasn't a comparison of FBA being equivalent to the Klan. But go ahead.
Right. I'm trying to show him. He said he don't write off people. Then I found a group of people that he reads the scripture
But you were not saying that the Klan was the same as FBA.
Right. And I was pointing out exactly. So I was saying that the Klan is a terrorist group. Okay. And he said he would write them off. Then I said that he named the terrorism from Klan. That's why they're terrorists. I named the terrorist acts from the FBA. I'm not saying they're on par, but I'm also saying that you can't say that misinformation, not disinformation. Disinformation is different than misinformation.
Okay.
Right? You cannot say that misinformation is not a form of violence. Mm-hmm. When you're maliciously spreading information to cause someone to do something anti themselves, that is a form of violence.
Yeah. So that's where I wanted to actually chime in on, and why I don't hold space for the majority of FBA that I have personally come in contact with, and seeing their language, seeing their rhetoric, seeing their technique, which mirrors one for one white supremacist techniques, which mirrors the distortion of the truth the same way white supremacists distorted, which mirrors dividing and conquering even better than white folks ever could. The one thing the Klan does for us, it brings us together. But when you got a subset of Black folks who are insidiously just there to constantly divide Black people amongst Black people, and now it don't even matter if you ADOS, it don't even matter. You could show the receipts that you Black. They don't care because it is a technique. That part of FBA, they could drop dead in terms of politics, in terms of the culture, because they're actively spreading disinformation. They're actively spreading division, and whatever their motivation is, if they're redeemable, God bless them. If there's some out there who's like, and they're not the ones who are actively doing this, there's a difference. There are those who are in FBA who, because they're trying to find their identity and associate with that identity. I would that they would understand who they're associating with. But there are those who are actively as malicious to the Black community right now as MAGA, without a shadow of a doubt. Might not compare them to the Klan ever, and I don't think we should. But are they carrying the same disinformation that's intentional? Are they carrying the same divide and conquer techniques that's intentional? Are they carrying the same destruction of the diaspora? And are they pitting us against ourselves to ensure that we don't get the very thing they claim they want, which is reparations? They're the leading cause right now that's breaking up a coalition, a global coalition. Black folks can support each other getting reparations in each country that harmed us. France need to be paying reparations. You know what I mean? There's all kind of countries. The UK needs to be paying reparations. All of them need to be paying reparations, but we're so divided. And if we trace it back to where this division is stemming from, it first did start with it's clearly been existence. This is not brand spanking new. But the concentrated potency of social media, we saw it birth right first with ADOS, and it wasn't all of them. It certainly was not all of them. I got love for quite a few members of ADOS, but then they divided themselves, and there was a subset that was even more disinformation oriented, even more destructive, even more just outright destroying the diaspora. And that's FBA. And it don't help that it's actually a trademark brand by Tariq Nasheed. So in that aspect, I don't hold space for those folks who are actively doing that work. If there's somebody out there who they found that channel and they like some of the stuff they heard, that's one thing. But the folks I've engaged with, I can't distinguish their technique from MAGA.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, and I agree, and I think that's the point I was making. I would say also, Ben, if you go back to 4 minutes ago, 9:40, Tropical Ding Dong said something that I think is pretty funny, maybe a little longer than that, actually, talking about me and Marcus arguing the Bible while you were on stage.
There you go. Let's see. I got to go far back. 4 minutes. Wait, what time is it now? 45. Yeah, okay, 4 minutes. Tropical Ding. Oh, they made a lot of comments. Hang on, I can find the next one.
They always make a lot of comments. Thank you for your comments, Tropical Ding.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We
absolutely appreciate that. I want to talk about something like this. This right here is funny as hell. I mean, I definitely Tropical. Where'd Marcus go? I definitely got that irony when the conversation was happening, especially when Ben started the show by saying, "I'm gonna put myself in the middle." Like it's like he knew it was gonna be one of those evenings. Like
nah, I felt it. I felt it in my spirit. My shanana.
he said he felt it. No. But the reason I also think it's funny is I also went to divinity school too. And Ben knows this. I went to Wake Forest Baptist for my master's in divinity. So this is why, like, this is like, I think if y'all, we should spend some time introducing yourselves to how nerdy we are, beyond the goon shit. Because I was one of those nerds that was also like, you ain't gonna come in my face and call me a nerd because you're gonna have to deal with me. But I'm an old man now.
I was just faster than everybody at the time, so I got away real quick.
I'm also one of 13 kids with over 100 first cousins, and most of us in the same time. Like, you're not really gonna be picking. I'm not the guy you're gonna pick. Like,
that's right.
We could play 4 football games with my first cousins alone.
Wow.
This ain't the problem y'all want. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta be that great of a fighter when you got that many people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Listen, we need to call this one the Clickbaity reparation episode. You know what I'm saying? We didn't even get to the rest of the stuff. I wanted to talk trash about Bashir's and his stupid bring all the voters and win all voters comments, and definitely need to talk about Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu about to play America's face as soon as Donald Trump say he's open to making peace and normalizing relationships with Iran. What does Israel do? They go say that we're about to bomb nuclear plants in Iran. So we're about to see Benjamin Netanyahu play Trump like an accordion and also risk putting America at war over his right-wing, far right-wing government that is nothing more than Zionism. Not. We continue to forget that he lives in stolen land.
I also wanted to talk about this sister who they pressed charges, Representative
Oh my, yes.
They are pressing charges on her for the quote unquote raid of the ICE facility, which it certainly was not. But I know we're up against time, but I at least wanted to drop her name and drop her image in her video.
Oh yeah, brother, let's do the story real quick before we go, Ben. Let's hear this.
Let's hear her real quick. This is Representative LaMonica McIver.
For job, Kate. We were there for oversight visit. We have done this before. You know, me, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, and Congressman Bob Menendez was just at a facility just a couple of weeks ago, not too far from this location, where we had an oversight visit, and we were a little bit delayed, but not, confronted or was in the middle of a chaos to do so. I think, number one, we have an obligation to do so. We have to show up and do our jobs. And at the end of the day, the reason why we were there is because we wanted to make sure this facility was up to par, that it was clean, that it was safe, and that the detainees there were, given due process, that they were able to use the phone, that they were able to speak to their legal representation, which we found out was not happening. And we showed up there to do a job, Kate. We were there for oversight visit.
And if you saw the video, if any of you saw the video, the nerve of Elena Haba to press charges on this Black woman, whether she was a Black woman or not, but I'm gonna say this Black woman because that's what it is. That's what's driving a whole lot. But the video clearly shows that she was pushed, and she's reacting in the melee, and they want to charge her and take her to trial and potentially arrest her for these actions.
Ben, you want to hear the disgusting part of this story, bro?
Go for it.
An hour before they interviewed her, they interviewed one of her Republican colleagues, and on the same show, the same person with this brown sweater and the brother, the white guy who was on the show with her, they interviewed him and they let him walk off saying that this sister was trying to break out, basically defend MS 13, and that's why they were there. Not to say that like he's a member of Congress, so he know oversight is part of Congress' job. They also not talking about that this ICE facility is in her district operating illegally. It is not this detention center, as the mayor of the city said, as he said, they're not supposed to be operating. So she's over there checking on people, and come to find out they're in there violating people's due process. Here's what people are not going to tell you, and I heard it from somebody that was at what is it? GS? Is it GS or DS, honey? Government is GS. GS 15, and GS 15 is top of the totem pole, right? SES top, but GS 15 is high, almost high as you can get. And he used to be one at the Department of Homeland Security. He said those officers are not trained for interacting with public. They don't know what's going to happen. And putting them out there in the streets is going to get incidents just like you got. Her getting pushed, people been put in handcuffs, especially when they've been given the power that Donald Trump gave them. These people are not trained to act as regular police officers, and we already see the failure of that training. So imagine that, giving someone who's not trained to deal with regular American citizens a gun, handcuffs, and the power that Donald Trump has put behind them, the battery he's put in their back, is lucky that this sister is only being charged and not being, casketed. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I think there's a whole lot to talk about, and we're not gonna cover it all tonight. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man, that we're in the middle of a tremendous push towards fascism. That I mean, I know people say it's already here, but yeah, there's levels to this thing, right? There's obviously levels where it could get even worse, and this attempt to destroy the federal judiciary and impeach judges and arrest judges that disagree with Donald Trump, but then two, to see them doing some trumped up charges on this sister, it really just shows you that we're dealing with folks who are not going to stop. They don't have a ceiling to what they're willing to do. In fact, they're lusting for even more of this. And I think that's all the more reason that we have to be really clear-eyed in this moment about not only the future, but the present. There's a very clear and present danger right now. And it's manifesting right here with them pressing charges on this sister. And it's going to keep going unless we get people who actually can fight back at a level that makes them think twice. But right now, MAGA I don't think there's anything in MAGA's way that'll make them say, oh, we need to think twice before doing this. So, all right, folks.
Marcus, did you want to say something?
Cool. Right. Well, look, folks, it has been, who wants to get the last word? It's been wonderful. It's been an hour and 45. Hey, Dr. Mayor Mondale, man, listen, we missed you, and we really appreciate you coming in the hospital bed and all, getting treatment, getting medicine right there. Shout out to the nurse who's taking care of you.
Shout out to nurses,
and shout out to the wife in hearing distance. Her voice is right there. I know she hadn't left your side unless she just had to. So God bless her doing that, man. We wish you a speedy recovery. Anybody else?
Yeah. She about to come down there. She about to come down and spank Marcus for giving me a hard time.
Marcus said it. You in the hospital. I'm gonna keep you there. Watch it.
No, Ben, this is what you missed. The man said he was gonna punch me in my lever. That's crazy. Did you know when people talk trash, they normally say I'm gonna punch you in your face. I'll punch your chest. You know what I'm saying? The man said he'll punch me in my side. That's a lever shot. Look, like that. That's dirty work.
Look, he said, where you injured at? That's what I'm gonna hit you at.
Yeah.
All right, black men. Love y'all. Hey, Trap Squad, do us a favor. Put up them squirrels. Put up them acorns. We love y'all. We appreciate it. And actually, let's read a couple of these super chats before we go. I know we have two. And hold
on. Wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah.
So, Florida, my dirty ass hat. Florida A&M University. Read it right there. I got to bring this up because this is. I would be remiss if I don't bring this up on my own show.
Yes, sir.
So, Florida A&M, we are going to stay on for a second, and I hope you guys can bear with me because I want to talk about this, and I promised people I would talk about this on my show today. My university, school that employs my family members, school that I went to, school that I did summer camp on, the school that I went to high school and middle school in, Florida A&M University. We have chosen what we didn't choose. DeSantis, Ron DeSantis has chosen one of his lobbyists to become. So basically, DeSantis has the board of trustees, who is Republican dominated, has chosen Marva Johnson to be the next president of Florida A&M University. Now you got to understand why this is important. Florida A&M University, unlike, and I know a lot of people talk a lot of crap, but there's really only 4 universities that really do it in the HBCU world. And I'm not trying to knock anybody else. I'm saying there's really, like, when it comes down to Fortune 500 people, when it comes down to, like, and I'm not dismissing.
That's neoliberalism.
Yeah, then I'll do that. It's my school. So when it comes down to it, Florida A&M University, and especially in the state of Florida, has been a thorn in the side of Republicans in the state of Florida. We've produced more state representatives. We've produced more businessmen that donate to Floridian causes, probably more than any other HBCU in the state of Florida. The historical context is in 1996, Florida A&M was on the cover of Time magazine, and the Republican Party of Florida has not liked us since. It's been a bit of jealousy. It's been a bit of, we want to destroy that university because we keep putting out Black excellence. Thousands and thousands and thousands of Black people who have graduated from Florida A&M have gone on across the nation to become Supreme Court justices, to become some of the biggest producers in Hollywood, some of the biggest actors, some of the biggest businessmen. And finally, the Republican Party has managed to take control over one of the most powerful HBCUs in America. They have chosen a lobbyist who has absolutely zero experience as a public college administrator. Over 6 well-trained, well-qualified members. The reason why I bring this up tonight is because it's a big thing. It's a very big thing. And it's going to, I believe it might cause a slippery slope, because you got to understand something. Most HBCUs, and I believe it's like 70% of HBCUs, are in Republican-controlled states, right? We have managed to avoid getting defunded at a high level, but that's about to change, because now the presidents can do different things about that. If you think about where we are right now, TSU is owed somewhere around $2.1 billion from the state of Tennessee right now. $2.1 billion that they were supposed to be allocated. Florida A&M is right up there at $1.8 billion that the state of Florida owes them. Why they owe that money? They gave a certain amount of money to the historically white schools in the state, and the Black schools in the state did not receive the fair amount of money that they were going to receive. So Florida State received $5 billion in the past couple of years. Florida A&M was due $1.8 billion, and they were never given that. Why is this important? There's a very small amount of institutions that teach to us. It is definitely more accessible without all the red tape and all of the familiar ties to get into a HBCU as a high school graduate who is trying to go to a college. Florida A&M looks for Black excellence. Florida A&M develops Black excellence, and Florida A&M produces Black excellence. And just because you have a Black president, just because you have a woman Black president, does not necessarily mean that you have the right Black president of our university. It is a sad day for me right now. It's been a sad week for me right now, looking at this, seeing the home of Florida A&M is the home of a Black high school. Florida A&M is the home of one of the only Black business schools in America. Florida A&M is the home of one of the few Black law schools that are in America. Florida A&M was in the process of actually trying to start a medical school. Florida A&M is a place where Black students and Black culture can live, and that Florida A&M has one of the largest Black archives in America, right? Started by an African man, right? So I bring this up because right now I want people to go and look this story up on their own. I want folks to go and actually take a look at. Just do me a favor, besides liking and subscribe, Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap, and also Marcus Farrell Live, and also looking up the Black Male Voter Project. I want you guys to go look up the story between why so many Black folks are up in arms. I mean, when you have Florida State University saying, damn, we're sorry that happened to you, the big school across the street, there's a major problem, right? So. So if you guys would do me a favor, there's a lot of articles, a lot of websites that should have been prepared for that you could actually take a look at this stuff. There is a fight back, but this is this was my reality check, believe it or not. This is my first reality check of the Trump administration. This was my first real life. I mean, I've seen a lot, but when it comes down to me having somewhere around 17 family members that have worked or work for that university right now, knowing that their jobs probably are on the line as we speak, knowing that funding is going to get cut, knowing that they will try to change the name of Will Packer Amphitheater to Ron DeSantis Amphitheater, just how petty that they are.
Yeah.
It's a real big thing. And what scares me more is that this mentality is coming to a city near you.
Spreading. Yeah. That part, man. That part. Man, we've been I appreciate you bringing that up, because we've man, these folks are going for the kill. They're going for the kill shot. They going all the way down, and they're making sure that they replace every black person in the position of power. If they just have to have if they could have put somebody white in that position, a white Republican, they would have, right? Because they did the next big thing. They got a black MAGA. And they're doing that, and they're replicating that all over the country. Here's one thing that I was talking to my wife and a couple other alumni from FAM that I know. You guys, and now I say you guys, I honestly don't mean you all. I think all of us, I don't care what HBCU you went to, I think all of us need to contribute on this thing in this way. We need to make sure that there is a movement that preserves the identity, the culture, the history, and what FAMU was before Marvin Johnson, and make sure that that thing is ritual every year, 3-4 times a year, that y'all repeat to these freshmen who are coming in every year what this university is, was, and should be, and make sure that that movement outlives her tenure. So if she's there for 10 years, then for the next 10 years, every black HBCU around this country needs to contribute to making sure that every freshman class that come in, never forget that y'all are going into an occupied, to infiltrated university, that this is what this was before this devil got there. This is what FAMU was before Marvin Johnson did this. Because one thing these folks are really good at, whether they be black MAGA, white MAGA, whoever, what they're good at is erasing history. And letting what was die out, and then all that people remember is whatever the MAGA president says to them. And so if y'all can't get rid of her right now, and y'all can't get rid of her next year, I just everybody need to make sure that what FAMU is and what FAMU was is always remembered, so that as soon as y'all get rid of that devil, it can be restored. Otherwise, there'll be a whole generation of kids that come out of there that don't even know what FAMU really was.
Hey, I would like to say this right here. Florida A&M has produced some of the best musicians on the planet through the Marching 100. Florida A&M, what we are seeing right now, I want everybody who's watching to imagine this. Imagine you've been working on a job for 20 years. You got a great job. You like your job. And then all of a sudden, your boss or your owner gets replaced by a MAGA conservative that says, okay, now we're not going to have any more breaks. Now you have to buy your own uniform. Now you have to pay for parking when you come to work, if you're not already paying for parking when you come to work. But you know for a fact that you have a private parking lot. That is what is happening right now.
That's
the ethos of what is happening at FAMU is this going to make it harder for black students to come in. And if she has the same mentality as MAGA does, which Ron DeSantis does, you won't see a majority black student population at Florida A&M University.
That's right.
It will be a magnet for white students to come there, because the scholarships offered and also the programs offered will be focused on white children. And also, most importantly, what Florida A&M teaches.
Yeah. And how y'all teach.
What Florida A&M teaches is a very, very, very important thing. You have black professionals that come out and actually learn about how to organize their business as black people in America, understanding the nuance that, you know what, yes, you got to know your margins. You got to stay in the green at the business school. But also, you also have to watch out for these things as a black person in the professional right. And it's a sad day, pissed off, but it's all good. Because I think we'll be all right. Because to me, black is going to win in the end.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Hey, shout out to all the Rattlers. Let me tell you, man, this is the longest time in my life that I've ever had to be around Rattlers. and talking positivity about FAMU, and I not say not a negative thing, not a negative word. I can't.
You want to do the start chats?
Yeah, let's do that real quick. I want to check it out. Shout out to Infinite Content. Thank you so much for the super chat saying I got disenfranchised today and I'm so mad. I'm talking with a council or mayoral seat in Derby this year, solo dolo. And then he sent another one follow up saying, fam, did you hear what Burkina Faso's the land if the upright man has found both oil and new gold field in the past 5 months. I did not hear about that particular aspect of it, but shout out to you thank you for the super chats, and shout out to Selling El Azul for the $50 super sticker. Appreciate that, my brother. Thank you so much for supporting the show and supporting the work. Anybody got some thoughts, man, before we go? Anybody want? We had 2 hours. We got 2 minutes before that 2 hours is up.
So for me, I simply want to say, if you find out, the moment you find out somebody's trolling, they're just saying what they're saying for clicks and views, just hit them with the, okay, great, be safe, period. So to all of y'all who are trolling, okay, great, be safe.
I got one thing. Silence. Let me tell you something. The most powerful verbiage on the planet is silence.
That's right. That's right. I like it both. Listen, brothers, like NYC Playboy says, 78 said, love you, brothers. And I mean it.
Shout out. You cannot be NYC Playboy with your shirt off in the trial and the Diddy trial happening. Jesus Christ. Take us off air.
Next time, fellas. Take it easy now.
Peace.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, Thiirsttrap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Clickbaity, Thiirsttrap. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Clickbaity, Thiirsttrap. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.